Well, a lot happened during the G20 Summit in Osaka, with world leaders rubbing shoulders and holding multilateral talks, as well as individual FaceTime on the sidelines. North Korea-related issues topped the agenda in many of these discussions. To delve deeper into what was discussed, we are joined by Professor of Law Song Se-ryun from Kyung-hee University. Welcome to our program.
Happy to be here.
Well, first of all, President Moon Jae-in continues to be a strong advocate for peace and denuclearization. It appears he still had this singular focus on this goal while he was in Osaka.
Right, understandably so. His administration's identity is almost closely tied to his policies and the actions on the North Korean issues. So this is a very important issue, although the main focus of the Osaka G20 was not really on the Korean Peninsula, but for us it is. And I guess it has another meaning to President Moon Jae-in because domestically, his economic policies has not been panning out as he hoped to. So his message about the kind of a Korean Peninsula economic boon if the sanctions lifted and the economic cooperations begin. I think it's a message not only to domestic audiences but towards the world audience, because the world economy is kind of slipping, and the China-U.S. trade war has kind of dampened the spirit of the trades. So in that sense, something that kind of boosts the economic opportunities in the Korean Peninsula will eventually benefit the whole economy.
Right, something that could inspire other countries to make the right choices in the long run.
Right.
The regime's traditional allies, China and Russia, there were summits held between the two countries ahead of this G20. So did it impact their stance on North Korea before the G20?
Well, I think it has. North Korea has been trying very much, actually, to collect the allies on their side, and it seems like from the statement of Xi Jinping and Putin, it seems like they're at least empathetic to the North Korea position, and this has to do with the negotiating table dynamics. The U.S. on one side, but North Korea wants to have some allies on their back so that they won't be kind of bullied around by Donald Trump. So in that sense, it seems like that dynamic has been there. President Moon got the same kind of message from the Putin and Xi Jinping as well. So in that sense, the dynamics of negotiation is kind of a continuing saga that we're seeing.
What's the perception like from the outside countries, the non-regional players, when they see these summits happening between North Korea and these global superpowers?
At this point, the regional security is very impactful, especially to Japan and other countries. So it is something of interest, and also, as we mentioned, the economic opportunities that might open up to not only Russia, China, but the Japan as well, and the Southeast Asia probably might be affected, because if you tie that to China's plan to kind of expand their economic sphere and also cooperation, there are a lot of exciting opportunities that can pose to other countries. So this is something that other countries are keenly focusing on, but at the same time, there's no timetable at this point. So probably it's hard to make any concrete plans in terms of how to make the economic cooperations pan out. But it doesn't mean that other countries are just looking at it from afar. I think that they're actively involved in kind of making small adjustments if and when the sanctions are lifted and the economic cooperations become pretty active dynamics in the region.
And U.S. President Donald Trump does it again, firing and then aiming and talking about it. He said he wants to meet with Kim Jong-un at the DMZ. Is it possibly something that both sides may have planned all along?
Well, North Korea kind of denies it, and Donald Trump said, "Oh, by the way, I just thought of something here." But the New York Times actually reported that he had this idea floating several days before the summit. So this is something Not exactly that he thought of in the morning just before the tweeters, but I wouldn't be surprised if they have some sort of prior communications about the possibility, because it's very highly symbolic. We know that the last time they met, it was conceived to be a failure, the Hanoi meeting. They're angrily kind of stomping off the table. But if they get together, however small and fleeting it is, it might symbolically kind of signal the new resumption of the talks. But of course, at the same time, the dynamics or the success of these talks was always impinging on the details of the negotiations about the denuclearization. So by just shaking hands or just making a symbolic gesture of the resumption probably is not a significant message, especially because they've been talking about it for a while, exchanging letters and signaling each other that they both want to talk. So in that sense, the significance probably is not too big. From the North Korea's point of view, it's also a negotiation kind of stance kind of thing. Donald Trump saying that I'm going to be there. Oh, by the way, if you can drop everything and come and you shake my hands for 2 seconds and go back,
so it's a
it
power
would be
move.
good, right? So from that standpoint, probably North Korea doesn't want to appear to be too eager to accommodate everything that Donald Trump says.
Right, for a reclusive regime like North Korea, face pride, how it's received or perceived from the outside world is a very important element for them.
Right. Kim Jong-un is supposed to be the highest dignity in the country.
How are the traditional allies of North Korea responding to this sudden turn of events?
Russia and
China, of course.
China, of course. I think that this is something that North Korea has been working on for a long time, going to Xi Jinping and Putin, saying that you guys need to be on this side, because this looks pretty familiar to us, doesn't it? Old world, Cold War kind of dynamics of Russia and China and North Korea on one side, and South Korea and the U.S. on the other side. Probably this is something that the North Korea has been kind of planning, because with that kind of stance with the superpowers on both sides, that makes probably the negotiation dynamics a little bit even on both sides. Without that, probably North Korea doesn't have much to go on, because the brinkmanship they have been playing has kind of run its course, and they have to be really on the kind of being able to exercise or have the strong hands on their side to draw kind of favorable deals that they always wanted.
Right. We'll keep our fingers crossed that we will see a similar historic sight that we witnessed when there was the summit between President Moon Jae-in and North Korean leader Kim Jong-un, where they crisscrossed and shook hands and held hands walking across the border last time.
Right.
Professor Song Se-ryun, thank you so much for coming in and providing us with your insights.
Thank you.